Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be discussing 10 hobbies that are completely free, no startup costs. These are 10 things that I have personally done in my life that I could think of that have absolutely no startup costs or materials that you have to buy beforehand. Before we get into the video, I want to take a quick moment to bring some suicide awareness to this platform, because these 10 things are to help get you from scrolling, get you off the couch, get you away from negative thoughts. These are hobbies that can get you out and about instead of sitting home stewing with your negative thoughts. And with negative thoughts comes suicide awareness. I wanted to touch base really quick on something that my dad quoted when I was in middle school, where a peer of mine took his own life. And my dad sat me down and said this quote, and it stuck with me my entire life, and I really want to share it with you guys. He said, "Suicide is a permanent solution to a short-term problem." And that is something that has stuck with me my whole adulthood, especially in my early 20s. We've all been there, right? We've all been through bad breakups, or I lost my best friend in 2015. I've had financial issues. I've been stuck in really bad living situations where in the moment you can't see a way out, right? You're like, I can't financially see how I'm going to get out of the situation or whatever. But here I am and here you are. And I guarantee if you look back on your life, there was probably something in your past where you felt the same way I have, where you felt like you couldn't get out of it. And you got out of it somehow. And every time I've been in that situation where I feel like I just can't see a way out of it, I think back to what my dad said about it being a permanent solution to a short-term problem. And I look back at all of my short-term problems and how they didn't feel like they were, but in the end they were short-term, because I did get out of it eventually. Things did change, even though I didn't think they would. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys because it's something that's always stuck with me. So here we go, into the video, 10 things. Number 1 is planting a garden. A lot of people think that you have to buy seeds, and you totally do not. You can, when you go get cucumbers from the grocery store and you're cutting them up to can them for pickles or whatever, you just take those seeds, and I say cucumbers because they're the most easiest. You dry them properly and you can germinate them properly, then you can regrow your own cucumber plants. And those are one of the easiest ones. I have done it with corn many times. I don't really have a good success rate. About half of the kernels will regrow into corn and half of them don't. You can do this with all different kinds of vegetables and even some fruits. There's tons of free YouTube videos on what you can propagate and what you can germinate for your own garden, completely free. You can pick a section in your yard that has a lot of sun, and you can literally use your hands to dig. You do not need to buy supplies to get started. You can also collect rainwater to water your plants when it's, no rain, and that's completely free as well. Though there may be some cost, some people will treat their rainwater with bleach and stuff, and that's a totally different thing. But you can start a garden completely free. Number 2 is reading/free library/book club. Obviously, reading is a free hobby that a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't know about the free libraries. And in my community and many towns around my town, we have these things called free libraries. They're about this big. They're not very big. Some of them are wooden, some of them are plastic, and they are literally in front of every church. We have one in front of our museum, local community centers, our gyms have them, and we even have a thrift store that has one outside, and I think there's one downtown too. And people can go in, you just literally take whatever books you want, you leave whatever books you want, and it's a really good resource. And I encourage you guys, if you don't have a free library near you, that can be your new hobby, is to make one. To get scrap wood from somebody, or somebody maybe is good at working, they could donate their time or scrap wood so that you can build one. And usually they're just on like a post. I think some of them do sit on stuff. But yeah, you can reach out to your local churches, your local community centers, and see if they would be interested in letting you put a free library out there, or reach out to your local city council and ask them if they could put one somewhere. A lot of churches might be willing to pay for one in front of their church. You can also talk to them about it. And they're really good resources. I literally use them all the time. I go in there, I get books, I give books away to people. I'm like, hey, I found this, I thought of you. And then when I'm done reading, I take the books back to a different free library. That way it's like circulating better. You can also do a book club. This is a really cool, like, just way to connect with people. You can do it virtually through Discord or YouTube even. I challenge you to get creative with it if you like reading. Number 3 is a new language or a language club. There's tons of videos on YouTube again and free online resources to learn a new language. I just suggest that if you are going to do the language, learning a new language, that it's a language that you're really passionate about, right? So you got to be passionate about the culture, the history. Otherwise, I tend to see people give up pretty easily learning a new language because your heart's just not in it, and it's a lot. But if you're interested in the culture and the history of that country, it could be really fun to learn all those things about that. You can also do like a virtual pen pal where you're talking over webcam and learning the new language together. Number 4 is recycling cans. This may not seem like a hobby, but this is a hobby that makes you money, okay? I used to do this as a teenager where I had a couple family members who didn't recycle cans. And I said, hey, if I keep an extra trash can at your house, like in your garage or whatever, would you throw the cans out there? And then I will come and empty it for you when it gets full. And so we did. And then I would cash them in. And that's a way to make extra money. And a lot of times people have old trash cans they don't even want anymore. So that could be no startup costs. Another thing is I used to work as a career consultant where I worked with individuals either in high school or just out of high school who typically were special needs and didn't have any work experience at all in their life, or they were young adults that had no experience in their life, or they just sat in a group home and had no experience. So one of the things, I had a gentleman who worked as a janitorial in a school, and I realized that the school was not saving cans. So of course I was like, can I bring a trash can in? And I had my client help me collect the cans and everything, and then I let him cash it in and keep the money. He loved it, okay? He got obsessed with it. Some of the teachers, when he was building relationships with them, they started to realize that he'd collect cans and they would save cans just for him, and then he would get to collect them and cash them in, and it was a hobby for him for sure. It was like a full-time hobby for him. He loved it. But that's a good way. And also, if you have like a staff lounge where you work and they're not collecting cans, you could ask HR or your supervisor, like, hey, can I bring in a trash can? And I will be responsible for emptying it and taking them to recycle center. And that way they're not going to waste. Number 5 is making YouTube videos. Some of you may already know this, but I've been making videos since 2006. YouTube came out in 2005, and I hopped on that bandwagon right away and watched videos. And then I was like, maybe I should make a video. And I have been making videos ever since. It was a different channel name than what I have now, but I've been continuously making videos since 2006, and I've never been monetized. I've never made one dime off of YouTube. I just truly enjoy doing this. And like, yeah, it would be cool someday if maybe I could monetize, but it is what it is. I truly enjoy doing this, and this is a hobby for me because it takes up so much of my time, my free time, especially editing. Number 6 is making tie-dye with plants and food. And a lot of people don't know this, but you can totally do tie-dye for free. You do not need to buy an expensive kit with rubber bands. You can literally use old shoestrings. You can use old yarn to tie up your tie-dyes. Now, as far as food and flowers go, what I suggest is looking up a chart online. I know a lot of them are like onions can make, pink tie-dye, beets make pink and onions make brown. I've tea dyed a lot of stuff as well. That's really fun, and it can smell really good. And there's all different kinds of foods, like fruits and vegetables, you can look up that make different colors. And then once you tie dye what color you want, I would get flowers and moist them, and then you wrap them up in the tie dye and you leave them for like a week or whatever. And then when you unroll it, the print, like the outline of the flower, will be on the tie dye. And you can also like bleach stuff that you already have if it's not white enough. As long as it's cotton, it's gonna tie dye. So that's a really like fun thing to do in the summer and winter, depending on what resources you have around you. I keep turning the background music down. It kind of seems like it's getting louder. Number 7 is a volunteering, and I think this is a given, but I'm talking about volunteering where your hobbies are passionate. So if you like cooking, you enjoy cooking, you can go to a food bank and cook a meal for people. If you like fashion, you can go volunteer at a local thrift place. I used to do this all the time with my clients when I was a career consultant because it was a great resource to learn skills, and also a good resource for me to see where we're at. Like if they could sweep, if they could organize, if they could color cord, if that was a skill that I needed to work on them with before we got a job. So I volunteered, I think, everywhere in my community in like 5 towns around me. I had a client who loved cooking, and one of the homeless shelters near me has a full-on kitchen, like full-on works, like looks like the back of a restaurant. And me and her would go in there and I would teach her how to food prep, how to sanitize, how to properly do things, and she loved it. We would cook meals for people. I had somebody else who, she loved fashion, so we would go work in a thrift store, and then once the work was done, we would go like redesign the mannequins, and she loved that. And there are probably so many other volunteer opportunities near you that you might not even be aware about, but it is a community for sure. I watched, like, one of my clients, we did a food pantry where like they would serve food once a week, and we found out that she just truly loved pouring people drinks. Like, she just loved that. She made like friends with the regulars and knew them all by name. And so when our job was done and like she was ready to get an actual job, she chose to still go back there once a week and volunteer because she had made friends and she truly enjoyed it. So volunteering can definitely be a hobby. And something else that a lot of people don't realize, I think, in my experience anyways, is that volunteering can actually lead to real life jobs, like paying jobs. So if you are young and you don't have a lot of work experience and you're kind of struggling to get that underneath your belt, volunteering is a great opportunity, not only for a resume and not only for job skills, but it can actually lead to getting a job. You can meet people that you never thought you'd meet during volunteering. Number 9 is Pokemon Go, Pikmin, and Fill-A-Bag. I feel like a lot of people know what Pokemon Go is. It's a virtual game you play on your phone that rewards you for walking and doing different tasks that are physical like that. But a lot of people don't know about Pikmin Bloom. It is a planting game. It's very similar to Pokemon Go, only you're planting in real time in your neighborhood on like a, kind of looks like a GPS map. And so you can switch colors of the flowers and make designs and in your actual neighborhood. It's really cool. If the phone game's not for you while you're walking, you don't want to do that, you want to enjoy nature more, maybe for whatever reason you don't have free data or whatever, I suggest the Fill-A-Bag game. And this is the game I actually created during COVID. I worked in a couple group homes and they weren't allowed to go anywhere. Like, they literally had 6 to 8 clients stuck in a house together all of COVID and weren't allowed to go anywhere. Like, they were going crazy, okay? Like, talk about, can you imagine being stuck in a house with your siblings for a whole year plus? No, let alone like 8 other people that are like strangers to you. So we would go on these walks and I created this game where we would fill a grocery bag of trash, cigarette butts, whatever, right? And we ended up having so much fun that we started making competitions out of it where we would all get a grocery bag and we would try to see who could collect the most trash. And we started to notice over, I think, about a week or 2 that the neighborhood was becoming so clean we couldn't fill a bag anymore. Like, yeah, we were still picking up cigarette butts, but not enough to fill a bag. So we had to then like migrate to different neighborhoods and stuff because our neighborhood, or the neighborhood that they lived in, was getting so clean there wasn't any trash around. And it was fun, and we made it a competition. And if you're going by yourself, you're walking by yourself, then you can kind of like say, well, hey, I'm not going to stop walking until I get half a bag full or whatever, right? So it's fun, and it kind of pushes you to maybe walk a little bit more. Number 9 is Clean Graves, and this one is a touchy one. I know a lot of people don't like cemeteries. I love cemeteries. I always have loved being there. I find it very peaceful, and I do like to clean up graves. And also I have a spot in my garage where family and friends will donate old flowers they don't want anymore. And when I go to the cemetery, like for Memorial Day, right, or Christmas, and everyone's got flowers out, there's always graves that don't have anything, and so I will put flowers there. I just ask that if you do decide to go clean up graves as a hobby or a pastime, to please be respectful. There's this one guy that's always at the cemetery I go to, and me and him have like gone into it because I see him all the time walking, and he'll put bird seed on top of graves, and then they shit all over the graves. Like bird shit everywhere. It's like, dude, that is so disrespectful. Like, You don't even know these people. Like, why are you putting birdseed on? Like, it's just annoying. But yeah, just be really respectful. Don't ever remove old flowers if it's not your loved one's graves, because you don't know if somebody can't afford nice flowers or whatever, and they just use those or whatever. So make sure that you are being thoughtful and mindful when you are cleaning them up. I take scissors and I like can trim like weeds around it, or you can take like a scrub brush and soap and water. Don't use anything other than soap and water because granite can't handle vinegar. It will destroy it, and a few other things. So just be really mindful if you're going to do that as a hobby. And the last thing is pen pal / Christmas cards for nursing homes. Pen paling in itself is not a free hobby because of the stamps, but you can do email pen pals. And if you enjoy writing and drawing, I highly suggest, like, you can start it in January. Get a bunch of Christmas cards. A lot of people have Christmas cards laying around that they don't use because they used to send them and then now they don't. So ask some of your older relatives if they have a bunch of Christmas cards they don't want anymore that they would be willing to donate. And you just fill them out loosely and draw Christmas trees on them, say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, decorate them real nicely. And then when it gets closer to Christmas, I would reach out to nursing homes and see if you can get a first name list of all the residents so you can donate Christmas cards, or if they would rather you just leave it like open, then you could just donate them like as is, and how many they would like, to kind of give you a ballpark of how many you need to still make. It's a great hobby and it can literally make someone's day. So I would like to know in the comments down below if you guys have any suggestion of free hobbies that have no startup costs, no investment costs, or are things that are like just laying around the house. If I get enough suggestions, I think I might make a part 2 because I have a couple more but didn't quite fit in this list. So like always, thanks for watching, and please leave your suggestions down below. I would love to read them, and I will see you guys next time. Have an amazing day and get off the computer from scrolling and go do a hobby, okay? I will see you guys next time.